This just turned up, which is a mirror which allows you to see the screen for the A7 III, so you can vlog or film yourself or set up shots. And it looks like one of those products that's kind of a joke, and then you try it out and you realize it's actually pretty good. I think I'm going to do a whole video on it, because I can see a lot of people wanting to use this, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, a couple of weeks ago I put out a little film titled Change, and I got a lot of positive feedback from you guys, a lot of nice comments, DMs, just saying a lot of you are going through the same thing, so thank you for that. I do genuinely appreciate it. You're going to start to see me make more of those films this year. I've got another little one coming soon, kind of like a gear test, but out and about, just trying out new things, different ways to move the channel forwards, I guess. So in that video, and I'd be genuinely interested to know if anyone picked up on this, I actually removed all of the sound. So the original audio that was captured at the time of filming the video, all gone, stripped it all out, kind of as a test. Epidemic Sound reached out to me and wanted to sponsor a video, so I came up with this idea that I would remove all the audio from that film Change and then try and add it back in post. And I actually think it came out pretty good. So all of the audio that you heard in that film was sound effects and music from Epidemic Sound, who, as I said, sponsored today's video, so thank you, Epidemic Sound. If you are a creator or you're in need of music or sound effects, I would highly encourage you to check them out. You get your first month free, there's no commitment, so you can try it out for a month. If you don't like it, cancel it, no commitment. But I think once you start using it, you'll realize that it's actually a pretty invaluable tool. I've been using it since the get-go on YouTube. So you might find the same too. There is a link down below. If you click that link, it will give you the 1 month free. So sound design does play a really big role in how your video plays out, or sounds, I suppose. So I thought we'd just go into my timeline and take a look at how I approach the sound design using all my sound from Epidemic Sound. Little tips, tricks, things that I do that ultimately might not seem like a big deal, but they kind of are a big deal. At least I think they are anyway. So let's go to my timeline. One of the first things you'll see when you look at the screen here, let's just mute that, is it looks quite mad. And if you aren't used to doing sound, you can look at this and think it's very, very overwhelming. Now you might also be wondering, why doesn't he edit his timeline? Or why isn't he more organized when it comes to editing his timeline? And yes, I should be. A lot of people color code, so with voiceovers it might be blue, with sound effects it might be green, with music it might be pink. A lot of people do that. I probably should as well, but I don't. I like to work in chaos. The video obviously looks like video, but everything else you see is audio, and there's a lot of layers going on at once sometimes, and you might be wondering, well, why is that? If I'm walking, I have the wind going on, the sound effects of me walking in the snow, my voiceover, and then the music as well. So there could be sometimes 4, even 5 layers going on at once. And that's why it looks as chaotic as it does. Once you can wrap your head around that a little bit more, it becomes a lot easier to manage and edit with. Now, the first thing that I do that I find has a really, really big impact on all of the videos that I shoot, and I do this in all of my videos, you may not have realized, is I have J&L cuts for my audio. Basically, let's look at this clip right here. So DJI 160 to DJI 160. So it's 2 different shots. It's technically the same clip. I just cut out there. And you'll see the audio below. It overlaps a little bit. So the audio from, actually it's this one here, Windstorm 7. The audio from that starts before the drone clip happens and ends after the drone clip is finished. And the reason for that is, well, let's just watch it and see. Let's cut that down. And let's cut that down. And let's get rid of the voiceover. Now listen to this. You see how there was just a really harsh change going from one wind sound to the next wind sound? That's because we didn't have the J&L cuts on there. Let's go and include those now. Just undo there. Okay. I think this is... Let's get rid of me talking there. Or what did I just do? There we go. Get rid of me talking. You see how the cut was a lot less harsh now? That's because I faded out the audio and let it play out a little bit past the end of the clip. And from the next audio, I brought it in earlier and had it fade up. So they're kind of meeting in the middle and there's no end of one when the other one hasn't already started. So that's why there's a seamless transition there. And you'll see that I do that on pretty much all of my clips there. Again there, again there, again there. There. Like for everything, I do that. I just find it makes a really, really big difference. Especially if you ever watched any of my cottage films, my hiking films. I do that a lot in those where there's sometimes drastic scene changes, completely different locations. And that really can change the way the video feels. If you just have those cuts,
doesn't feel as natural to watch. So that's a big tip for you. So there's another thing that I do, which is a lot less obvious, but it makes a big difference in terms of your production value, how things look. So imagine you're walking from one room to another room, and in the second room, there's a stereo playing. You're in the first room, you're still going to hear the stereo, but it's not quite as loud. You walk into the next room, now it's louder because you're in the room with the stereo. The same thing applies to when you're changing scenes in your video. So yes, although I'm walking from this scene right here to this scene, I'm still walking. It's actually still the same sound effect that I've used walking in the snow. It's matched up with my footprints, but it's exactly the same sound effect. But what I did was, let's just, let's get rid of that, get rid of these, and let's just delete that for a second and continue this. Listen to this.
They just won't do.
Oh no, you need me gone as well. Don't need my voiceover. You see how it's still the same level of volume, and it just, although it does work, it doesn't come off as natural as it should be. And that's because you're going from a tighter shot to a slightly wider shot, and I'm further away from the camera, so the audio should be quieter, and it just doesn't look as natural. Let's play it again, look. You see? Just doesn't look great. Now let's go back to how I had it, where... Let's get rid of those, get rid of me talking. You see what I did? I just literally dropped the volume. That's all I did. And the volume gets louder as I get closer to the camera, because again, that's what would happen in real life. The same thing for this clip here. I'm further away and you see there's a fade up there. As I get closer to the camera, I fade up the audio. So I'm fading up the audio. So when I'm closer to the camera, it's louder. But also when I change clips or change shots, sorry, it's wider. Further away, it's quieter. So however your audio would react in real life, if you're Foley in sounds, you're adding in sound effects in your sound design, you need to make sure that you're doing exactly what would happen in real life in your edit. Yes, it's a lot of work, and that's why sound design takes a lot of time, but it comes off as way more natural and just ups your production value when people are watching it. There's other little tips and tricks you can do as well. If you wanted to, you could change the pitch, make the pitch a little bit higher, a little bit lower, and that little change might be enough to just differentiate between the difference in sound from one scene to the next scene. So you don't always have to use volume. You can change your pitch too, or you can add a high pass, low pass filter. As long as there's a little change in audio, it's enough to show going from one scene to the next scene. It should never be the same piece of audio continuing from one to the next. Voiceover was done with the Blue Yeti, which is this guy right here. The audio that you're hearing right now, if this is the audio I end up using in the edit, it's from the Blue Yeti with a pop filter on here. Little $12 pop filter. Why do you want one of these? Well, without the pop filter, with the pop filter. So there should be a big difference there. You just don't have the p sound. This gets rid of that. You can buy cheap ones of these. As I said, this one was at $12, I think. If you get a pair of tights, wrap around an old coat hanger, you can pretty much do the same thing. So always have a pop filter if you want to do some nice, clean voiceover audio work too. And I actually toyed with not even having the audio in here whatsoever. Listen. So that's, sorry, when I say audio, I mean the music. If I get rid of this, I still quite like it without the music in there as well, but the music just adds that extra layer of depth. It gives me a little bit of feeling, like sadness, maybe a little bit of uncertainty, and that's kind of what I wanted to have as the desired effect, how it makes you feel. Music ultimately has a huge impact in how you perceive a video. If it's happy music, it's going to make you feel happy. If it's sad music, it's going to make you feel sad. So music can play a big factor in the overall feel of how your video ends up coming out. That's why I picked the music I picked. In complete honesty, the sound on this took me maybe 3 or 4 times as long to do as the actual video edit did. The video editing was straightforward. It's just cutting the clips up in the right order, and that's pretty much it. The sound was definitely hard. You got to match up all the footsteps with everything. You got to make sure all the wind is in the right spots. Even things like the elevation changes for the drone here. So this shot was lower than this shot. So I had the wind sound a little bit higher in pitch when it was higher up, because it's going to be faster wind than when it was down low, and the wind won't be quite as fast there or as loud. So little things like that they seem like a lot of work, but it's worth it, honestly. It really is worth it. You know what? To even find audio in Epidemic Sound is just easy. So if we go to Epidemic Sound, I already searched Footsteps Snow here. Look how many there are. There's so many to pick from. So you just pick the ones that you want, download it. You don't have to fill in a licensing form or anything like that. You literally download it, drop it straight into your timeline. You're good to go. You can upload it straight to YouTube or wherever. It's already pre-cleared, so you're not going to have any copyright strikes, and it's just convenient, honestly. That's why I like Epidemic Sound. Also, it has a lot of music that always ends up working out really well for the videos. So there we go. That is how I design sound for my videos, specifically the change video here. I personally like watching these kinds of videos because it's interesting to see how everyone else makes their videos, how they design the sound. As I said, it can be a lot of work with the sound, but it is ultimately worth it. Hopefully this video was useful to you. Hopefully you got something out of it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. If you are looking at going and making some sound or putting some sound into your videos and you don't have any right now, give Epidemic Sound a go. Code down below. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching today. And you know what? Let's end the video by me playing the whole film with the timeline literally in real time, so you can see how all the audio is playing out as the video is happening. So let's end with that. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.
We tend to trundle through life, expecting things to transpire, awaiting different results, but we do the same thing over and over. I've been starting to feel like that with videos, boxed in, if you will, and I don't like it. I have so many ideas for videos that are different from what I normally do, videos that I really want to make, but I feel like I'm niched in to the point that they just won't do well. But this year I'm going to start making some of those films, starting with this one. I think this scenario doesn't just affect creators, it affects us all. Can you see yourself doing exactly what you're doing day in, day out, right now, today, yesterday? Can you do that forever? I don't think this answer should ever be yes. To grow as a person, as a creator, we have to embrace change. It's important. It's necessary. It's starting to become clear that avoiding change, playing it safe, doing the same thing, leads down one road. Burnout. A little change might lead the way. This is for me and the other creators out there. Go out and create more of what you want to make. Get back to the roots of why we started in the beginning. You should be enjoying this craft, this hobby, this profession, whatever it is for you. Enjoy it. Force that change.